Welcome to another Owner Finance Your Way to Freedom, one note at a time, a monthly roundtable discussion. I am excited to be here with you guys. By way of introduction, my name is Dan Diaz. We have two special guests with us. We have Mr. David Olds, straight from Tennessee, and we've got Mr. Uncle Charles Hernandez with us. Super happy to have you guys. For those of you who are not familiar with these fine gentlemen, I really want to do a short introduction for you guys. First of all, these are people that you guys should be absolutely familiar with. We've got Mr. David Olds. He's a full-time real estate investor based out of Chattanooga, Tennessee. He started investing back in 2002. When he and his wife bought their first home that was unknowingly a foreclosure. After flipping that property for $50,000, they discovered the world of real estate investing and went on to do numerous flips in Central Florida before the crash of 08-09. Struggling to find deals, they relocated to Chattanooga, Tennessee to work a new market. And there, through hard work and sheer determination, became the dominant wholesalers in the region. Along the way, he accumulated over 70 rental properties and continued to flip, mastering not only wholesaling, but property management as well as raising private money. Now, David is a sought-after speaker and coach who has a thriving nationwide wholesale company and continues to grow his rental portfolio while teaching the next generation of investors the tips and secrets that they need to rapidly grow their business and get to their desired income level and lifestyle. Without further ado, Mr. David, the floor is yours. Please tell us a little bit about yourself and your exposure to the real estate investing world that I did not cover.
Well, Dan, thank you. That was super nice of you. Yeah, my background is pretty simple. It's probably like a lot of you. I read a book. I read Rich Dad, Poor Dad. At the end, I'm really good at following directions. It said, go find a local RIA group. So kind of something similar to what Charles runs down in San Antonio. I went to the Orlando RIA, and I'll tell you something I don't tell a lot of people. I went there the first time, and I pulled into the parking lot, and I was afraid to go in. So there's all these cars, and everything had stickers on them, hard money, we buy houses, inspectors, all these things. And I drove out of there and went home and told my wife I couldn't find it. And it took me 2 months before I had the courage to go back, and probably one of the best decisions I ever made. I got involved in the RIA, got some education, just attended as much as I could and absorbed everything and found some mentors and got a little bit of coaching. And that's how I got started. And how we got successful is we were just too dumb to quit. We took what we were taught, and we didn't try to recreate the wheel. We just executed. And that's kind of the short version of how we got here. But, we didn't start with a lot of money or anything like that. We really just bootstrapped our way up, found people do private money. When we started wholesaling, we put out 100 bandit signs every week and drove for dollars and did handwritten postcards, not even printed ones. So yeah, we're like those people that like literally started with nothing and now have a multi-million-dollar portfolio.
Very nice, very nice. Well, I really want to express my appreciation for you being here. Now, I don't want you guys to think that I've ignored Uncle Charles. I know many in the live feed certainly know him, but I definitely want to give him honor where honor is due. For those of you who are not familiar with Charles, he grew up on the streets he calls Violentville, USA. Many mistakes made. He understood that no one is coming to help. He did eventually graduate from UTSA with a bachelor's in business and finance. Charles and Michael started home buying, home selling as a realty company in 2012. Together, they built a substantial portfolio and run a professional real estate investing office where entrepreneurs come to work with them, not for them. They focus in portfolioing, creative financing, transactions, subject to wholesaling, wholesaling, reverse wholesaling, dirt deals, multifamily, and they have a mentor coaching program as well and run the Home Buying, Home Selling Real Estate Association, recently launched in San Antonio, Texas. I can tell you for a fact, they're always willing to help and not afraid to get dirty. So without further ado, Charles, the floor is yours.
Thank you so much for inviting me. I feel privileged to be on this podcast with yourself, Dan, and David. We've all become really good friends over the years and over the last months. So I'm real happy to be here, and to even be considered to be on this podcast. A lot of people know us. Michael Yanis is my partner. We're just out here. It sounds like we do a lot of stuff. I guess we do. But it's just a lot of stuff that we've been doing over the years. We've learned a lot of different strategies, and we're always adapting. We're always helping, so yeah, man. We're always doing different stuff. So I'm an open book for anybody who wants to ask a question. Our key thing is the creative financing, subject to and portfolioing. But we're always busy, man. Always busy. That's the key thing to this business. Always staying busy.
For sure. A little bit about myself for those of you who don't know me. My name is Dan Diaz. I thought we have a saying in Spanish, and I'm going to say it in Spanish and then I'll translate it in English. But in Spanish, the saying is, "Y el burro se presenta al final," which means, and the bottom of the totem pole is introduced at last. So I thought I'd introduce myself last because I really consider myself very much a student in everything that is considered financing, especially when I'm with two individuals like yourself. So thank you so much for being here. My name is Dan Diaz. I was born in Mexico City, raised in Texas. Because I was laughing. I started my investing career in November 2015. I knew nothing about real estate at the time. I considered myself a problem solver and a solution seeker. First deal, I love to talk about it because it did generate me over $80,000 in upfront profit and a $400 monthly spread. And after that, guys, I was absolutely hooked. I consider myself an owner finance fanatic. Personally, I love a good dry red wine, a stiff scotch, a cold beer, good company, international travel. Mostly because we don't have any kids. We're kind of happy about that. So it's just the wife and I have been married almost 4 years. I don't know how she's put up with me, but I'm still riding the gravy train. I know Charles has a few years on me, and that's okay. I can learn. How long have y'all been married, Charles?
18 years.
Wow, that's pretty impressive. I'm hats off, man.
Yeah.
To another 18.
You know what? Something I just realized something. Both of you guys have brought me alcohol. You brought me a bottle of red wine.
Oh yeah.
And David brought me this awesome bottle. You got two of them.
Yeah.
Here it is. Look.
Chattanooga whiskey.
There you go. Well, we know how to take care of you. You're a deal, man. I don't think you know that, but you are. You are for sure.
Dude.
Why was this group created? Owner Finance Your Way to Freedom, one note at a time. I believe that as the financial markets change, our survival will depend on our ability to swim these tumultuous and uncertain seas. Moving forward, I believe that acquiring properties with seller financing will be paramount to growing your portfolio. I urge you to learn this trade. What can you expect to get out? I've made a personal commitment to use this platform to share our experience, our tools, and our skills to help you sharpen your own creative financial acquisition teeth. I want to make sharks out of you guys so that you can devour every opportunity in every lead so that you can move on from only wholesaling to perhaps actually buying real estate. What do I expect from you guys? I expect you guys to be sharks. Now, to me, that's not just a word I throw out or a buzz phrase. It's an acronym that stands for somebody who S, succeeds mercilessly, H, hates mediocrity, A, accepts no excuses, R, resolves to be an action taker, K, kills their bad habits, and S, shares what they learned here. So without further ado, guys, let's start with the topic that we have for discussion. And for the next few minutes, it's really just going to be an open floor. The topic that I really wanted to focus on today had to do with how to actually buy real estate with no money down and none of your own credit. The whole zero money down opportunity that everyone can take advantage of. I'd love to hear how David does it. I'd love to hear how Charles does it. And for the next few minutes, if maybe we can spend some time talking with the audience about how they can also buy money with zero down. Maybe you can share some opportunities that you guys have done or some tactics or whatever you guys would kind of like to bring to the table. I know you got tremendous experience. We only got about an hour, guys, so we got to keep it short. How about we start with you, David? Why don't you tell us about a few zero money down deals that you've done? How did you do them? How did you find them? How did you structure them?
Sure.
Of course,
So you want to just talk about houses we got for free? You just want the
sure.
That's probably a different call. So here's the thing for me, and I may do it a little bit different than Charles. When I came to Tennessee with basically no money, we knew that we were going to wholesale, right? It was the whole kind of, we landed here. We knew one person in the town. He was a realtor. We didn't even know him well. It was kind of a burn the boats thing. So we became really good wholesalers just out of just sheer necessity. And what that meant for us is we did a ton of marketing. All right. So I want you to imagine being on the back of the boat and throwing off the biggest fish net you can and pulling in every possible deal that's out there. All right. So I didn't only search pretty areas or bad areas or middle, median income stuff. I just threw out the biggest thing that I could. So within that, you get a lot of deals, right? And also the other thing that I searched for, just so that all this makes sense, is at the time I searched for free and clear houses because this was back in 2010 after the foreclosure crisis. So we wanted 100% equity. So that doesn't mean that's always what you get, but that's what we searched for. So we throw out this big net. And, our first option with everybody is we want to give them a cash offer. And that doesn't always work, right? We all do this every day. And, 2-3% out of 2-3 out of 100, 5 maybe want that cash offer. So what we discovered pretty quick is, maybe like the first one was a duplex. In fact, it was a duplex. And, we really wanted to buy this house, but they wouldn't take our cash offer, even though we didn't have the cash to buy it anyways at the time. So what we did is we started structuring these owner financed offers where we would make them 3 offers. And the first offer, let's say somebody wanted 70,000, but our cash offer was 50. After being rejected on the cash offer because for whatever reason they couldn't accept that. Maybe it's a thing they've got a number in their head, or they're splitting money, or whatever it is. I would say, well, I understand you can't take 50,000. Let me ask you this: do you need all the money now? Or something along those terms. Now that you're able to do that because you have good rapport, right? So you don't just come out of the gate with, hey, do you want to sell me your house subject to, or hey, do you want to owner finance this deal to me? No. You start at the beginning of, when you're starting this process, even before you make the offer. And this is what I try to explain to people. You get to know people. You have to genuinely care and want to try to help them. And I'm sorry if I'm talking fast. You only gave me a couple minutes. So
No, please.
I want everybody to have more time for Charles because he's way smarter than me.
No.
And yes. And so anyways, Dan, you can't take my cash offer. Hey, do you need all the money at once? Yes or no? And, and I tell them, look, I'm not an accountant, but if I give you 70,000, you're going to pay a third of it in taxes. Check with your accountant. But maybe there's another way that we can do this, right? And if you're open to it, I can prepare a couple of options for you, right? So if they're open to it, usually I don't really do it on the fly. Usually I'd say, hey, let me run back to the office and I can send you something. I have done it on the fly, but so I'll type something up that's very simple. Hey. Maybe the first option might be 70,000, over 10 years at 4%, whatever that is. I can't do it in my head. Second option might be, hey, maybe I'll give you 62,000 with $2,000 down. Seller will finance 60,000 at 3%. And then, my third option is a cash option. And what that does is psychologically, instead of giving somebody a choice of 1 or 2 or just one choice, now they have 3 and maybe they want to choose one of those options. And Dan, do you know which option works for me? All of them, right? It doesn't matter because I wrote them up. And that's not to say we're taking advantage of anybody, but all of those options will work for me. So now I'm just trying to give you some different alternatives of how you can sell your house. So that's a very short, compressed version of what we do. And I don't know if we don't have time to kind of go into how you figure all that, but you can figure it out. If you know what a property's renting for, you can use a mortgage calculator and work backwards and figure your payment. You can figure out what your taxes are monthly, and it's pretty easy to figure out what insurance is. So yeah, we built a pretty sizable portfolio with that tactic just in and of itself. It didn't have to be, it wasn't super complicated because I'm not that smart of a guy. And we just do that over and over and over and over and over again. So if 3 people out of 100 are, willing to take your cash offer, that leaves 97 people that you could try this on. 2 or 3 out of 100 are going to take it. They're just going to, because they don't need all the money all at once. And the perfect person for the strategy is a landlord, right? Because, and if you were a landlord, I would, and again, I know this because we built rapport at the beginning of our call, right? When I first started talking to you, and maybe your situation is you're moving someplace else, you're just tired of dealing with the tenants. So the pain I would poke is, hey, I bet you love getting that monthly check every month. Yes. The pain that I would poke is, boy, dealing with tenants is the worst thing ever, isn't it? I have 77 of them. I know. So people respond to pain and pleasure. And if I can solve your problem and increase your pain and decrease your pleasure, then I can help you out. And it works for both of us.
People respond to pain or pleasure.
Yeah.
I think we can totally disconnect now. Like, that is sufficient information. I mean, that is mind-blowing. Yes, people respond to either pain or pleasure. I like that. Charles, you tell us a little bit about how you like to structure your seller financing. How do you like to introduce it? What are some nuggets that you can share with our audience about maybe what they can replicate in their own markets, about how to present a seller finance opportunity to a seller?
Well, first I want to say, I find it not funny, but I find it astonishing how so many people can do this type of business in different parts of the country and reach some of the same conclusions. It always astonishes me that you could be doing something, you think you're like, wow, I invented this, and then you hear someone else like, wow, they do it a different way, but that's pretty simple. And I'm going to acknowledge something that I want to share with everybody here, because I think the world of Dan, we got into doing creative financing because I come from that world. For the mortgage, we could get real creative before the crash with all the silent seconds and different private lenders, and that was my thing. And then we got into a bunch of substitutes, and we started getting into getting those properties with no reinstatements and learning how to target properties with no rehabs and all that stuff. But when it came to deal structuring and getting deals where we're getting them pretty much for free, if you want to say that, we were always trying to figure out how do we get around the not paying interest or not paying a down payment. And so I think I told you this one time before, because I would approach it a little bit different than you did, but I love this one line that you use. And
Which one?
I think I told you this. I said, I'm sorry. Are you lending me money? And I love that because I'm going to get into it now. So I love that line because I use that line a lot now, and so for us, I'm always telling people that I'm interested in stuff, but this is how we go after it. So if we're looking to pick up deals, we're always going after their tired landlords, right, that have been in the properties going 10 years, 15 years. They're tired, man. They just want to make that money. And so those are the best people to go after because they just want to continue to collect those funds every single month. They just don't want the problems. And that goes to what David was saying. If you can decrease the pain but increase the pleasure, they're all for it in most cases. And then another thing that we target is, for example, expired, withdrawn, and canceled listings that are at least 12 months old, 15 months old. The reason we do that is because we can see the property, we can see that it's functional. For me, it's always about functionality, right? So we see the property is functional, so we contact these individuals, and what we want to do is we want to let them know that we want to purchase property, and for those type of transactions, we're always trying to discount it off the list price. You see, what people don't realize is that those individuals who had those properties listed, those agents had already told them what selling costs were holding costs were, and so they're much more. How can I say? They're a lot more ready to go ahead and say, okay, well, I wasn't going to make those funds anyway. So you can usually discount them by 15, 20%. I've even got them down to 30% if we found stuff with the property that was wrong. So at that point, well, we call that spreading, right? We call that spreading. And so we do two different things at that point. One, I can let them know that I can pay them X amount of dollars per month. So we're never talking interest. We're talking about, we can pay them X amount of dollars per month. And I figure that out before I even talk to them, because I don't want to be doing this math in front of them. And then what I'm figuring out is how much can I pay them per month? And then let's just say I do a 240 months. I'm going to knock that off the balance if I do a 60 month balloon or 36 month balloon. And so that's coming off the balance. And if I'm contemplating 60 months, I contemplate what's the estimated appreciation on this property for the next 60 months, so that I can look at my future value and do those projections. And if I can lower the balance down and count on that appreciation, then I know I have a huge spread there. Now, if you're smart, what you also do is you take some of that passive that you're going to be making, and you put it towards the balance. You can continue to reduce the balance, and I have to pay taxes on it. So now you can go back and take a loan out, usually at 60 to 65%, even 55% off what the future value is in 60 months. Pay off the balloon. Now you're going to get money in your pocket at a 6% or 5% interest rate and not pay 28, 32% taxes. So just quick little stuff right there.
Man, that is amazing, Charles. That is absolutely amazing. Thank you so much for sharing. So what I hope that the audience really captures is you've got David in Tennessee. You got myself and Charles over here in San Antonio. We're just trying to make it in this world. Like David said, we're too stupid to go elsewhere. He messaged me earlier today, and I know what he was talking about, but he said, I'm almost done with my interview. And I responded, did you get the job?
Absolutely not. Unemployable.
We are unemployable, but just because he's in a different market doesn't mean that the theories and the concepts really change.
Right.
That's really the important thing. And what I tell wholesalers, and I don't know, David and Charles, if you'll agree with me or not, but what I tell wholesalers is when you approach a seller from the quick cash, quick close, all cash offer, in reality, without knowing it, you've already set the terms. And those terms may not even work for the seller. Mm-hmm. Like, how arrogant of you to assume that the terms they want and need are all cash, quick close. Yeah. Maybe they don't want all cash, quick close. And maybe because they don't even want those terms, they're even going to be even less flexible on price. So what we do here at the office and what I share with my students is, listen, approach a seller very humbly. Let them know, listen, I don't know your needs. I don't know. I want to get to know you, but I don't know your needs right now. Option number one, if you want to liquidate quickly for cash, I can definitely help you. Or if you'd like to turn this vacant, unused property into monthly cash flow for the next 10, 15, 20 years, I can also help you. Which of the two conversations would you like to have? But when a wholesaler kind of approaches it from, I can close now, I got all cash, I can do it in 7 days, you kind of automatically set the terms.
Yeah.
So, if you already set the terms, well, the only thing you can work on is the price. So it's kind of like, I don't know. And you don't do it on purpose. I mean, I know when I'm doing all cash offers, I'm not thinking it that way. Right. But anyways, that's
no, you're 100% right. And so much of it comes from, you have to care about people, right? This is on the selling side, when we're talking to sellers, this is a big decision for them, either whether it was their house or they inherited it or what, they got married and it's extra. It's a big decision. So if you don't come from it, from a position of just wanting to help people, well, you make it $10,000 isn't that big a deal. Don't screw people over,
That's I think that's important. I was talking to Tim Maya about this, And I was saying, I was telling him, Tim, we were talking about this. We're saying, hey, all these wholesalers, and we wholesale also, we wholesale, but we're always saying we want to help the homeowner. And we were talking about this. We're like, are we really helping? So it's a real fine balance. That's why I like what David said. You really have to genuinely put yourself in that mind frame that you are there to solve a problem. Because if you're not, then you're really there to take advantage of someone, and no one wants that, because eventually, the chickens come home to roost, and I believe in that. So I always tell the guys here, everybody that works with HPHS, man, don't make up stuff. Try to figure out what's going on with that individual, how we can help that individual. Because if you look at it from that perspective, you'll find a solution not only for them but for yourself. Sure. And a lot of times it's creative. It's not always wholesaling.
Yeah. Talk to them when you start talking to them. Like Dan said, find out what they need. Find out what the problem. Like Charles said, what the problem is that we can solve. But yeah, I don't lie to people. I don't ever want to be in Walmart at 9 o'clock on a Friday and someone scream from 2 aisles over. You did something, you took. It's just not that important to me. There are a lot of deals out there. If you're in this to hit one check and then get out, I've been doing this for 18 years, so a long time. And if you're going to have any kind of longevity and not have a bad reputation, you got to treat people right.
You've been doing this as long as Charles has been married.
I'm only 1 year. I'm at 19 years, June 7th. So I'm coming up.
Yeah. So Dave's giving me some advice.
I'm learning from both of y'all.
Look, I know a lot of people want to probably hear some nuggets. I'll throw one out there right now. For example, we're doing a deal. We've been in the deal for like 4 months with this lady in Galveston. She has a beautiful property, and the property is probably worth about $425. It's a beautiful home. Thing is, she picked it up on a quick claim years ago, back in the 80s, and then she was awarded the property through a divorce decree, and the court awarded her the property. The problem is that the title company's like, there's a break in title, you know what I'm saying? And they want to find the heirs to the lady who passed away who did the quick claim. So how do you take down a property like that? Well, we have different options, guys. You got to think, you got to be creative. This is what this podcast, I think, is about, being creative. So I want to show you. I want to give a few nuggets here. So one thing that we're going to do is this. We already know that we're going to I'm having an attorney take this file into court. We're communicating with the title company. We're saying, hey, if the court has already adjudicated this property, that she owns it in a divorce decree, if we can get the judge to state, yes, she's the owner on not just a divorce decree, but a decree through the court where you guys ensure title. They're like, yeah.
So one judge doesn't want to overturn.
I am a little shocked because it went through the court system to begin with.
Yeah, but they're still.
Are they still stuck on the full quit claim deed?
Yeah. So that's one route. That's one option that we're going. The second option that we're doing on this property. So I talked to the lady today. I said, look, you can't convey title. There's no title company. It don't matter who wants to buy it. I know you have people that are coming at you. This is what I'm willing to do. What I'm willing to do is I'm willing to take this property down. I'm willing to give you, 10, maybe 15,000, at most 20. Let's figure out where we're at, and I'm willing to give you that money down. And let's do what we call a reverse note. I want to secure your funds against myself. She wants 150,000, and I will make you payments every single month after a 6-month moratorium. She says, why? I said, because I got to get the property functional. I got to put money into the property, get it functional, get it generating funds. It's something that you can't do. I'm going to do it. So what I'm going to do, worst case scenario, is I'm going to drop some money on her, right? Most likely I'm going to do 20, but if I can get down to 10 or 15, I'm going to drop some money on her. I'm going to do a reverse note. That's what we call it here. Basically securing her funds against us. And I'm going to have a moratorium for 6 months. So that way I can get the property where it needs to be. And it's pretty close. What we're going to do with that property is that we're going to try.
Let me interrupt you there, Charles. For those of you who are listening, can you explain a little bit better what a reverse note is? And like tacos and tortas, please.
It's just
I don't know what those are. The differences. So
it's just a sexy way of me letting her know if she can do seller financing.
So is it a personal guarantee? Is that what it is?
Yeah, you know, we're gonna secure it with the property, you know, but it's just a sexy way of, hey, will you owner finance the property to me?
Oh, gotcha.
It's just, that's why I said it's art thing. So I'm able to say, hey, we're gonna do a reverse note, then I can explain that instead of telling her, hey, will you owner finance this to me? You see, think about this, Dan. Will you do a reverse note, or we can secure, we can secure your funds against myself to you? Will you be willing to do that? Or, Dan, will you owner finance this property to me?
No, maybe 50% down.
You see, the other way I get to say, so I can secure your funds against me, Dan.
I like that words mean things.
That trigger word seems to be like, yeah, I would like my funds to be secured. You see, so that's just kind of an approach that we take. So she's open to it, man. So what's going to happen is, if we take this down this way, what's going to happen is we're going to try to do an Airbnb, see if we can get that thing going. And if not, I'll just rent it out, and I'll use those funds that I collect on that property just to continue to pay her after on the 7th month, and I'll pay her out that way. And then eventually I'll have a property that I can't sell, but then there's another exit strategy for that, and that I'll have to use with my attorney. But I'm willing to hold that property indefinitely, because one, I know that the spread is huge, and I know that I can make money on renting it or Airbnb-ing it. So I don't need to have clear title, guys. Is what I'm trying to say.
For those of you guys who don't know, Uncle Charles and Mike, they don't like to admit it, but they're like Airbnb gurus here in San Francisco.
No, we're not.
Yeah, they are. Are you guys super hosts yet? I'm sure you are.
What's that?
Super hosts on the platform?
No, we're not.
You are.
We're more into holding our notes. We're actually just barely scraping the Airbnb world, but this is a perfect property for an Airbnb.
Yeah,
it's right close to the beach. It's perfect property. So, but a lot of people turned it down because they couldn't get title to it, and I'm just like, well, okay, well, I mean, you're gonna hold it, you know.
Yeah. On the down low, I'm a big fan of Airbnb. I've been a host since 2012.
Wow.
And at one time, I owned about 12 Airbnbs and managed another maybe 10, 12 as well. And the way things kind of worked out about 2 years ago, we ended up selling all of our Airbnbs. And just this past year, we started building the Airbnb portfolio. It's a phenomenal, it's a different beast altogether, but it's the cash flow is phenomenal. We've got a little 2-bedroom, 1-bath that would probably rent for $1,100. I mean, I can't imagine it renting more than that. And this past month, it grossed $4,200.
Wow.
We just got another 4-bedroom, 3-bedroom, 2-bath with a bonus office. ARV is about $285. We owe about $235 because we picked it up subject to. And again, on a rental, it would probably rent for about $2,000, $2,100, $2,200 maybe. And last month it did about $6,500 gross. So there's a lot of money to be made on an Airbnb. David, do you hold any Airbnbs in Tennessee?
I do not, but I'll tell you why. All of my really nice properties are around the University of Tennessee, and I put students in them.
Oh,
they pay. They don't maybe not pay as good as Airbnb, but I don't have that turnover, and they're locked in for a full year. And they're just great.
You make your parents co-sign?
Sometimes.
You
know. Yeah, I've never had a problem with students.
Hey David, are you creating like dorm pads there, or you're renting the whole?
No, I'll tell you, we thought about that because I bought this package of properties. It was 1.1. I think I told Charles $1.1 million, all owner financed, 0 down, 4% interest on a 17-year term. And yeah, it was good. So it's like an 8-unit, a 5-unit. There's 2 houses and an empty lot. But anyways, one of them was a 6-bedroom, 3-bath house, and it was built in 1900, just a mess, right? But when I went in there, it was rented to this graduate student, and he was subleasing all the bedrooms, and it looked like weird science when you went in there. He was renting it to all these exchange students, so there was computers and these like light up things. Like, I'm the non-tech guy, so I didn't understand anything. But they were there for a couple of years. They're renting it $1,000, and then he called me and he's like, "Hey, I'm getting married, so it's been 3 years. I'm gonna bounce out of here." I said, "Oh, okay, great." I'm like, "Well, what am I gonna do now? It's a 3,000 square foot, 6-bedroom house." So I went in there and started remodeling it, and we like gutted it down to the studs, and next door was this hostel Airbnb kind of thing. And I'm like, well, maybe I'll rent it, let those people run it for me. Maybe I'll do it. I don't really know. And I got done. We spent probably like $70,000 on this rehab, and I threw it up on the student, Facebook page here. Guys, about had 10 of those things. I could have rented them all. Rent $3,000 a month. I went from $900 to $3,000 a month, and like no issues. I had 6 girls in there for 3 years. They just moved out because they graduated. I just put 6 boys in there, and they'll probably stay for another 3 or 4 years. So,
That's awesome.
so yeah, a lot of my great rentals are downtown or in like historic areas, and I can really get a premium rent for them.
Nice.
So something that we're working on right now, and it kind of slowed down because of the COVID. We ended up renting the property, but once the lease is over, we're going to get back to it. So, especially over here where Randolph's at, Randolph Brace, we took over a property. It's fairly large, 3,300 square feet. What we want to do is we want to, create a dorm pad.
Yeah,
we got the idea from these other guys that actually blew up. I know the guys. I met with them. I won't say their website, but man, they blew up. They're in different cities now, and they're what they do is they cater to military officers who come to stay in the bases for training and stuff. And it's almost like an Airbnb, but the thing is that these guys are renting these things for like 3 to 6 months, some for a year, and they'd rather live there because they get that BHH where they can pay for a hotel or there. But at these homes, they're getting pool tables, the PS3 5 or whatever it is. They're getting, barbecue in the back. They all get to share two refrigerators, 2 small kitchen areas, and so the homes are large enough to be able to have all this stuff. That's what we're gonna attempt to do once we get the lease back on this property, and we're really thinking it's gonna do well. We're gonna create a dorm pad.
that's pretty neat.
Very cool.
Yeah, I think I like that. I'm interested to see how it goes.
Yeah, keep us in the loop. Listen, we man, this has been super fun. We need to move on. So how do you guys feel about answering a few questions from the group? Does that sound like something you guys were up to? So as you guys know, in the group, a few of you guys submitted your questions. Woo! Let's just start getting into it.
Let's do it.
First question that we've got. Question is, when buying with seller financing with a balloon in 5 years to pay in full, but the buyer doesn't pay in full in 5 years, what courses of action can the seller take? What action can you as an investor take? So I reached out to the person who made the question, and basically what they want to know is, if I buy with seller financing, and I bought with a 5-year balloon, but then I wrap to owner finance, and obviously he doesn't have a balloon, the owner finance buyer, what happens? What can I do when the 5 years comes? Love to get your input, David, and then
I will start. Well, first of all, I would have never agreed to a 5-year balloon. Golly, I've done it like twice, and I'm telling you, you think 5 years is a long time down the road. Life happens, and they sneak up on you, and now it's a scramble. So the first thing is I do everything I can to not do a balloon. And if their pain point is maybe they don't want to pay taxes, well, having a balloon in 5 years is not going to help you. That's going to be the same problem. So 5 years. Also, so if you're going to do that, let's just say you do. That's the only way to get this house, and I'm going to wrap it and I'm going to sell it out. I'm putting that person on 2.5 or 3 years, right? So like their clock has got to be quicker than mine. So same thing when I buy a property with owner financing and I'm going to rent it, my payment is due on the 15th because when is rent due? On the 1st, right? So now I have, if at the time I got into a cash crunch, now I I've got 10 days to go out there and scramble and find the cash, get the tenant to pay. So first thing is don't get the balloon. Second thing is put your guy on 3 years if you're on 5 years. So now you've got time. But if you made both of those mistakes, you're going to have to, I would think, refinance out of it or go back to the seller and negotiate more time.
So how do you put the seller on a 3-year balloon?
No. I'm sorry. So I got the property from you, Dan.
Yeah.
And you put me on a 5-year balloon.
Gotcha.
But Charles, I put Charles on a 3-year balloon.
But that's what I was going to say. How do you put the owner finance buyer on a 3-year balloon with Dodd-Frank?
I mean, you can do. I don't do a ton of them. So first off, let me back up. I try to never sell any of my rentals. So that's not my strategy. For me, I went through so much work to get it. I want to ride it out forever. So Charles is probably a better person to answer that one than me. The few that I've done, I do enough to stay underneath that. And I've been doing this since before Dodd-Frank. So.
Oh, good. For sure. Charles, talk to us.
First of all, I would never, ever take a property down with a balloon that I'm going to wrap. Just wouldn't do that. You're just setting yourself up for failure. Now I've done many balloons where when we're negotiating zero interest, zero down payment, long-term credit financing type of transactions. That's not a problem, but I'm never going to put somebody in jeopardy based on what transaction I did. So if I did a balloon, I'm not going to pass that to someone else and put them in jeopardy. Now, what I'm about to say, understand something. I'm not an attorney. And maybe
and David does not look like he's one either.
So don't, if you're gonna
good enough for that.
If you're gonna go do this, understand you got to work with an attorney who knows what the hell they're doing, and just understand something, guys. Look, here's the thing, man. We've sold to people who have LLC. I have no problem selling to somebody who buys property from me on a wrap with an LLC. I tell you what, if I am gonna balloon them, they should know I'm going to accelerate that note at the 60 month mark. So that's all I can say about that. Hopefully you can read between the lines. Do I suggest that? I mean, I've done it. I mean, but should you suggest for somebody, hey, I'll sell this property to you, go get an LLC, and I'll sell it to your LLC? There's a fine line right there. What you should and shouldn't be telling people. But just FYI. If I was going to accept the balloon and I was going to sell to someone else, I want to make sure that they're in a shorter balloon, like David said, but I would not sell owner occupied. I'd sell to an entity if that makes sense. So I can accelerate on them a lot easier than I would because I wouldn't want to get into problems with Dodd-Frank. Yeah. Now, this is real creative, guys. So I'm about to tell you, this is outside the norm. A lot of people don't understand this, but if I wanted to put somebody in a position to get out of a note, let's just say in 10 or 15 years. Hey, I don't want to be in bed with you for 15 years. Then, I might get real creative and say, hey, David, how about you sell me an option? Yeah. Okay. You sell me an option, and the option is that I have the right to purchase this property in 15 years. As long as there's a date, there's consideration, that's being exchanged. That contract, guys, is you can put 100 days, you can put 2 years, 3 years. So what happens is we have a few of these transactions that we're fixing in 2024, or I think it's 2024, that we're fixing to start, contact these individuals saying, hey, remember, we have an option to buy this property back in 2024. And your agreement was that we would buy at the balance plus a 10% profit to you. So they're getting back a profit, but it's at 10% that we agreed at, years ago. So there's more to it, guys. That's all I can explain to you on that. But
I like it.
That's how I would get somebody instead of putting a balloon on them. I'm gonna have them sell me an option. If they sell me an option, then they're agreeing to that contract. So,
I like it.
That's awesome. And if I can jump in one more thing.
Sure, please do.
So I would always buy on seller financing. I would never, and maybe I'm reading his question wrong. I would, and by seller financing to me is I have the deed, you have a mortgage or deed of trust, whatever state you're in. I would never sell that way, right? I would sell it out like Charles just said on a lease option, on a rent to own. maybe a contract for deed, because now I'm still in control because I still control the deed. So if they jet on me, I just tear it up and throw it away and start over again, So I wouldn't lock somebody in with give them the deed, because now you have this exact problem is you don't have control, right? So always keep control of your deal.
Yeah.
Just like I would never bring a property in on a lease option. Just for me, it's just not what I do. And y'all do. Everybody that listening should do their own thing. I'm just telling you, for me, the way that I do my business, I want to bring the deal in and control it, and I want to send it out and still control it.
So in Texas, we can't do contract for deeds. I don't do a lot of lease ops, but I'll do a purchase option on a contract that I want to finance. So I want to buy it back.
Right.
And as long as they're willing to sell me that property, I'll get into contract with them on a purchase option, and we'll set it for 120 months. At that point, now what that does for me, instead of me putting a balloon on the wrap, what it does for me is, hey man, we have an agreement that I can purchase this property back in 120 months. Now I have control of the deal. At least that's how I do it here.
Gotcha. And I know you guys are.
Yeah, that's one good way. Personally, my take is if I'm going to have a 5-year balloon, I'm going to have equity. I'm probably not going to buy more than 75% of ARV minus repairs.
Right.
So if you're going to give me as a seller, David, you're the seller. If you're going to give me a 5-year balloon, basically what you're doing is you're only giving me 5 years to pay. I'm asking for 15 or 20, maybe 30. You're giving me 5. So now I need equity. Now with the equity, what I would do is and this is what I teach my students, is to originate 2 notes when they own or finance to the end buyer. The first note is going to just wrap the debt. So let's say the debt originally is $100,000. You'll do the first one for $100,000, 9% interest, 30 years, no balloons, no prepayment penalties, no mortgage insurance, all that good stuff. The second one is going to be wrapping your profit. And when the 5-year balloon date comes, first of all, have a conversation with the seller. Do they really want their money? Yeah. Maybe their circumstances changed.
Yeah, it may have seemed like a great idea 5 years ago, but now they're comfortable with that money.
Yeah, for sure. Maybe we can do an extension. Maybe we can do a loan modification. Maybe we can then do a fully amortized situation. So that's the first thing. Have a conversation with the seller. Are their needs still the same? Secondly, during these 5 years, I would be working with the owner finance buyer to try to get them refinanced. Thirdly, if the seller does want the money and the owner finance buyer cannot get refinanced, I have a note that has a very low LTV that I can go ahead and sell to raise the capital to go ahead and pay off the seller. And the second note, which is my profit, I can go ahead and continue keeping for a long-term strategy.
That's interesting.
Now, the last thing that you can do if you build relationships with small community banks is go ahead and take that first lien position note and hypothecate it. Go ahead and get a loan against that note. Yeah. You don't own the house because you owner financed it, but you own the note. So you can always go ahead and raise the necessary capital by getting a loan against it. So I agree with you guys. I probably wouldn't buy with a 5-year balloon, but if I did, it would need to have equity. And there are a few ways to kind of maneuver your way through it. Love the ideas. All right, moving along. I bought a house subject to some time back, and now the seller's wife removed my authorization from the lender. What do I do? The lender will not release any information to me. Oh, the wonderful world of subject to that no HUD guru tells you. What do you do under these circumstances? What's your idea, Charles? What's your thoughts, David?
So, setting up any deal from the beginning, you always have to, I always tell everybody, you need to know not only how you're setting it up from the very beginning, but what's the worst case scenario, what could happen, and what's the exit strategy. You have to know this because stuff like this can happen. Like, as it happened to us, of course, all kind of stuff happens to us because you learn and you move forward. I tell everybody this, Dan, because there's a lot of attorneys that talk about subject to and credit financing and stuff. And I don't want to pick on attorneys, but that's for any guru. I say this all the time. I say, hey, people can write paper up all the time, but unless you do it, unless you're in the trenches and you do a lot of them, you're not going to come across all the problems because you haven't done enough of them to understand what and what not to do. So in this situation, first and foremost, what I'm reading here is that either this thing went to somebody's name personally, it went into an LLC, there were POAs recorded with the lender, which is something that I never would have done. First of all, once the owners of the property, and let me back up, maybe the wife didn't sign, and if she didn't sign, you made a big mistake. Let's get that straight.
Could be, yeah, we don't know. That could be big mistake.
So if she didn't sign, you're stuck, brother. You're stuck. I'm gonna tell you right now. There's ways to get out of it, but you're stuck. So the way we do it now for long-term properties, long-term holds, we're gonna have them deed into a trust. I'm going to become the trustee in most cases, and they're going to deed their interest in the property and in the trust to our LLC. So at that point, they own nothing. They own nothing on this property, and I also have them sign documentation that they interfere in the process of this loan. If they interfere in the process of the trust or anything, that I could hold them liable. So I'm really strict about that. If it's a short-term transaction, something that we're going to fix and flip, maybe hold it less than 2 years, it's going to go into an LLC, and then I'll have a POA so I can communicate with the bank. Usually, if it's something that we have equity in, it's going to be short-term. But in this particular case, here's the situation, man. First, we need to know more information. One, did the lady sign? If she didn't sign, man, you need some help, man. We need to get on a call. You need some help because lender ain't gonna give you nothing, and she can fight you on this. Now, if she did sign, you can get legal on her, because at that point she's interfering with the loan and something that if you had her sign some documentation that she wouldn't, then she's violating that. Worst case scenario is going to happen, brother, and this happened to us. At some point or another, she may by default have the lender accelerate the note on you, and you're going to have to be ready right now to cash that thing out, especially if you wrap it to someone else, because that family has no idea what you're doing on this side. Mm-hmm. And so you better be ready for that.
Yeah, that's unfortunate when you get into these kinds of situations with bad subject twos. You got to be ready to refi out. So like you said earlier, Dan, you got to make sure you got some equity. You may have to go to a private money or hard money lender guy. It might be a little painful, but you got to get out of there because you have an obligation to your end buyer. Because you're setting you have a lot of
people criticize me for this because I'm a big owner finance fanatic, but when I buy subject to, if it doesn't have at least a 20% equity position, I'm not going to wrap it. I'm going to hold it. I'm going to Airbnb it. I'm going to lease it out. I'm going to rent it. I'm going to do something else with it, but I'm going to hold it because I need that equity position to protect me in case something like this happens. Now, if I have, 20, 22, 25, 30% equity position, then I'll go ahead and wrap it because there's a bunch of crap you can do after that if something like this happens.
Yeah, it depends where they're at in their mortgage. If they're 10 years in, it's going to start going down quick. So, you got to watch where you're at. And like Charles said, on a bad day, what can happen?
One thing they can do, man, if they can't authenticate this with a lender, of course, they have no equity or whatever. I mean, if you can find, there's a lot of investors, man, they just want to make an ROI on their money, man. If you can find an investor who's willing to cash this thing out and basically step into your shoes and collect whatever beautiful deal you thought you put together, and I mean this in a very
whatever beautiful deal you thought you put together.
I mean it very respectfully. What you're doing is you're basically handing over to them what you would have made, but what you're doing is you're getting out of that problem, because if you wrapped it, you need to protect these people. And so, look, man, it's not the end of the world, but we need some information. Did she sign? If she did sign, what did she sign to get her back on track, to put her in her place? At some point, you got to think worst case scenario. If she's already doing this, you got to start thinking about an exit strategy.
Yeah. The first wrap, one of the first wraps that we did, bought subject to, lesson learned. It only had about maybe 5% equity position. I owner financed it, I wrapped it, and I did get the loan call due. I made mistakes on it. I mean, I now recognize the mistakes I made, and I'm happy to talk about them in a different time. But that's what I ended up doing. I found an investor out of California. He liked the 11%, interest rate that I had originated with, and they were happy to bring in all the money, even though they were going to be in a low equity position because of the return they were going to get. So yeah, there's always creative ways to do this. All right, moving along. I did a wraparound mortgage on a house. The original owner, I imagine the seller, filed for bankruptcy. How does this affect all the parties?
David, you mind if I take this one?
Go ahead, and then I got some stuff.
I've dealt with this several times, guys. And here's the thing, man. One, understand that you can definitely call the trustee. You can call the trustee because you're going to get the letter. You're going to say, hi, man, speak to the trustee, whoever her name is or his name is, and say, hey, look, I'm the owner of this note. And I see this individual file for bankruptcy. And I have just a couple questions. You can help me here. One, are they reaffirming or are they trying to discharge? That's it. Are they reaffirming? Okay, great. Thank you so much. Appreciate you. That's it. You're done. If they're trying to discharge, they cannot discharge, guys, because they've already deeded the property. They can't discharge something that they've already deeded out of. So at that point, I get my attorney on the horn, have them contact the trustee, let the trustee know where we stand. And so far, guys, I have beat 7 individuals on the selling side, and I won't say a handful on the buyer side, on the rappies. They can't discharge, man. So don't be afraid of that. You just gotta know if they're not trying to reaffirm, you're gonna have to get an attorney to address the bankruptcy court and the trustee and then remind them that they cannot let them discharge that property.
Yep, it's not very complicated. David?
Not much more to add to that than other than sometimes when if you had tried to make that call yourself to the attorney, chances are they're never going to pick up the call for you. That's just how it is. Most attorneys think that they're the smartest people on earth. And that's when it's great to have a good attorney on retainer that will make the call and the other attorney will pick up and they'll have a short conversation and then it's done. So sometimes those calls cost you $500 and that's okay.
I've contacted the trustee of the court and I've also contacted the attorney who their attorney. And guys, a lot of times you don't have to fight them. I've called them up, say, hey, I'm so-and-so, and I was calling to see what is it we can do to help out. I see that your client filed for a bankruptcy. I'm just giving you a call before I get my attorney involved. And you know what? I've been told on several occasions, no, don't worry about the house. They're going to reaffirm. It's okay. So you can have conversations with people. Don't be scared, guys. But worst case scenario, like David said, you should have a good attorney ready to rock and roll at a moment's calm.
Yep. Absolutely. Well, guys, we could probably go on for hours and hours, but I know that we both have stuff to do still today. I really wanted to make it a point not to take more than an hour of your time. I know you're more than willing, but our time really has come to an end. I really want to thank Charles and David for being here. Before we finish, we'll start off with David. If people want to connect with you, maybe get to know more about your offerings or what it is that you've got going on, please let the audience know how they can connect with you.
Yeah, I'm super easy to find. I have worked hard to get all my social media all at the same name, so you can find me every place. I had it here under my face here a minute ago, but at David Olds REI, at David Olds REI. So give me a follow on Instagram, shoot me a message, and I've got some cool stuff I'll send you on how to make those 3 offers. So if you guys want to do that, cool. I'll do that for all your people. Trying to build that IG following, so I give away some free stuff for it.
Thank you. What about you, Mr. Charles? How can people get a hold of you if they don't know you already?
Yeah, so we have a Facebook group called the Home Buying Home Selling Association. So that's actually a Facebook group, and it's actually the name of the RIA. Mm-hmm. So you guys can find us there. We also, working on building our IG. So, my IG is Uncle Charles HBHS. Michael's IG is Turn Up the Hustle. So you can find us there, guys. Ask us questions. We answer all our own questions. So, sometimes it might take us a minute to get back to you, but we answer everything. We don't have bots or VAs answering stuff. So if you get a response, it's so, we try to help out everybody, man. I mean, it's hard sometimes get somebody a very long, complicated response, but we try to answer those questions. We know what it was like.
For sure, for sure. Now, I hope you don't mind, Charles, but if you could, would you please remind the audience about the RIA meeting tomorrow here in San Antonio?
Yeah, I'd love for everybody to come out, guys. Tomorrow we have, we're going to be talking about owner financing. I was hoping to have Dan there, but I know Dan has his family.
I'm so sorry.
Yeah, so we're going to have Scott Horn there. He's a legend in anything has to do with credit financing. He's an attorney out of Dallas. We're going to have Allison Tipton. She's going to be there. We're going to have Robert Ibarra, who's really made a name for himself. He took one of our Subject 2 classes, man. I'm not going to take credit for that, but he has blown up in Subject 2 and capturing all kind of properties. And then you'll have myself and Mike, the whole HPHS team. So tomorrow at the Norris Center, the Norris Conference Center here in San Antonio off of 410 at 6 p.m. Don't miss it. The Home Buying, Home Selling REI Association. If you want to network, you want to meet people, and you want to do more deals, we'll see you there.
Yeah, guys, and let me tell you, I was at Charles' event last month, and it is unbelievable. I've been doing this for close to 20 years, and that's one of the best RIAs that I've been to. The information these two guys got up on stage and just poured into the audience was just amazing. It was so good. I joined the RIA, and I'm in Tennessee so that I can make sure that I can get in, the next at least a couple times this year. I'm going to fly down there. So you guys are, if you're within driving distance of San Antonio, you need to be in that group. I'm telling you, it was impressive. Not just what these guys did on stage, but they brought some people up to talk. They've got some incredible vendors. So if you're in business and you're in San Antonio, you need inspectors, you need hard money lenders. All those people that you need are right there. Charles and Michael are doing the community a great service by bringing all that together. So you've got a great place to learn and really just have everybody that you're going to need at your fingertips. So I don't know why you wouldn't go there. It's crazy. I'll probably be there next month.
Oh, good deal. I'm big fans of Charles and Mike, and when Charles, I'll share this. We were at a restaurant. What was it, about a year ago, maybe, or longer? And when you shared with me that you were putting together this RIA, I was so excited. I'm not going to share the reasons, but I think you know why. I was excited. I was on fire. So I'm a big fan, and it's funny when the first meeting, I went ahead and turned in my application, and somebody from the office called me, and I guess they know me, and they're like, "Well, we just want to confirm. Are you sure you want to join?" I'm like, "Yeah, but is it for you?" And I'm like, "Yeah, like, are you gonna take my money or not?"
Yeah, I told them, take my credit card, man. What you guys are doing here is really special stuff, and that's why I wanted to be involved.
Well, Dan, I appreciate your support, David. Man, both your guys' friendship means a lot to me. Guys, everybody out here doing real estate, different type of real estate, from multifamily to dirt to wholesaling and portfolioing and just all kind of stuff. And what you meet at these meetings is people that are doing different stuff, and people that just want to invest. And the beauty about putting these meetings together is that everybody can play. And that's one of the reasons that we put this association together, is because, there's other RIAs here in San Antonio, and that's bless their heart. But we wanted to put something a little bit different. We wanted everybody to know they have access. Mm-hmm. You have access to everybody in here, not just to a few people. And that's how we want to run it, man. I appreciate both.
Is it okay if I say that I don't think it's different? I think it's better. Is that okay? Can I say it?
Well, I appreciate that. Thank you so much. Yeah,
it's pretty good. I've been to ones all over the country, and I've been doing this almost 20 years, but I do still remember when I first went to those RIA meetings, and I was the new kid and very introverted and shy, and afraid to go up and talk to the guys who had all the experience. And Charles and Michael just exude that go-giver kind of spirit, and that, we were trying to go to dinner after, and these guys were standing at the front just with a line of people, just taking everybody's question, taking pictures, doing whatever they could. So that touches my heart, because I remember there was a time when I was doing that. But man, if you're new, it's so easy for all of us, and I won't take your time. I know we're getting to the end, but it's so easy to kind of work in your house or your office or wherever you're at and think that you're out there doing all of this by yourself. And the one thing we love about RIAs and going to events like that is you get around the campfire and you see other people doing things, and it's really inspiring. And you see great guys on stage like Charles and Michael talking about the deals that they're doing, and you're like, wow, that's incredible. I didn't know that stuff was possible. So it really opens your eyes up to just all the stuff that's going on. So again, I highly recommend what they're doing down there.
Nice. Well, appreciate everyone being here with us. Again, you want to connect with David Olds, you can do so, David Olds, REI. You want to connect with Charles, you can do so through Home Buying, Home Selling, Uncle Charles as well. And of course, myself, Vancito on Facebook, and Owner Finance Your Way to Freedom, one note at a time. Guys, thank you so much for being here. Appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
Around, and we'll see you guys next month. You guys have a great one. Take care. Bye-bye.
Yeah, thank you so much.